want to remind each of you to like and subscribe on YouTube. We are Film Talk Radio. I'm joined today by director, environmentalist, the great collaborator, Godfrey Reggio. Godfrey, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you and your audience.
Godfrey, can we start in the year 1953 or 1954? Can you tell me what your life was in those days?
Well, let's see. Jesus. 1954, I left home. I couldn't be there anymore. My daddy helped me leave. My mother was horrified. And I became a young monk then. And I learned not to live by the clock, but the bell. While I'm not a monk today, a monk is me. So I still live the way I desired to live then. So it was a great opportunity. I was 14 years as a brother. And then I was exclaustrated or asked to leave in 1968.
And was it your father who convinced you to join the order?
No, he just knew that I should do what I wanted to do. And if I wanted to do that, he made it possible for me to do it.
And he had a way of going against the grain. Was that part of what it ingrained that in you, your ability to not go along with the norm?
Well, he was that way. He didn't try to be that way. He was that way. He was the odd man in, as it were. And he recognized in me something in him. Like as I might have said before, I got thrown out of kindergarten for being a bad boy, had to repeat it again, went to penance hall every day for 6 years. And my father realized that if I wanted to leave home, it'd be the best thing for me. So I was lucky to have a daddy that understood that.
So you joined a very humble order of monks. Tell me about humility. How has serving served you throughout your life?
Well, the purpose of the brothers that I joined were to teach the poor gratuitously. It was a very humble order, but we were the first order in 1682 to move the monastery into the city, not outside, so that we could live with and as the people we were trying to help. Those were kids who didn't speak Latin, who were not part of the middle class, who were part of poverty, and without education, you don't go anywhere. So they were doomed to a very, let's say, difficult life. So he set us all up to teach those kids for nothing. And that got me in a lot of trouble during the latter part of my life. But I was so happy, and I still do that, to teach the poor gratuitously, freely, not to ask for anything, but to give.
And giving to these young children was rewarding. Tell me just a little bit about working with children and what you get from working with children.
Well, I learned more from them than they learned from me. I learned that the kids I worked with, their families were in the pinta or the joint. Many of them lived on the street, and we formed a unity of 7 gangs in town, and they express their emotions, be them very sad or very happy, something that many of us keep hidden. We don't want people to know who we are. So I couldn't have been happier working with those kids, and they taught me a lot. And we did a lot of odd one-in events, assaulted police stations and did all those things that got us into trouble, me included. We all went to jail for a while. It was an awakening experience for me, and I stay in touch with these people all the time.
So this is a more philosophical question about it, but what is the difference between children and adults?
Ooh, that's a good question. Baudelaire says genius is childhood recovered. And I believe that the kids I know were childlike, even though they were older at that time. And I learned to be, I was also childlike. I never grew up. My my father knew that. My mother was horrified, bless her. And I stuttered, and I stayed a child. I never grew up. So it's my good fortune. I didn't have to try to be a genius. I was a child, and genius is childhood recovered. So I was a lucky boy, still am, still live in the same way.
Now, this way of challenging authority, does that play into remaining a child? Is growing up a way of conforming or abandoning your way of bucking the system or going against the grain?
Well, good question. If the grain is killing you, then you try to go against it. The grain was killing us, putting people in jail, uh, constantly monitoring them, appearing when they didn't need to appear. So it was important to live that way rather than to try to be good citizens. Though I founded a group called Young Citizens for Action, not for good, but for action. So we work with other gangs. We help people that had no money. We redid their homes. We followed police cars around. When they got there, we were already there. I had a 10 code from the assistant, from the head of the police commission. So, yeah, we didn't want to be with the grain. We went against the grain, not to be mischievous, but the grain was killing us all. It was something that no one really knew about or cared about, really.
So, the grain killing us all, that's the gizmo or the machine, maybe. Now, the technocracy that we're experiencing today in 2023, is this better or worse or different than Orwell's dystopian vision of the future?
It makes Orwell's view of the future look almost benign compared to today. Our technology is moving so fast. In the last 200 years, we now know things we never knew before, and it gets getting faster and faster. This is a day of, of great pain for everybody. Uh, Senegal kills, what, 100 people a day. You can't read the paper without shootings. Uh, Things are out of control. People realize it now, but if he had known the technology that we've created, it makes us, we're outrunning the future. We're hit a wall, and it's coming apart. Anybody can see that. I mean, we party and have a good time, but all over the world, there are wars, there are nuclear thoughts, there are no good people running governments. They can't be trusted, us or them. It's all about winning, winning, winning. It's like a football game. Everything is predicated on the sport of winning. How you win, it doesn't matter. Winning is the point. So we've hit the wall. We're moving so fast with technology now that it's quadrupling. It's I don't even have the words to describe what it's doing to all of us with AI. And
Tell me about ideas, Godfrey. Are they the foundation of everything? Are the things that a person dreams up already existent in another reality, or do they begin to exist as we dream them up?
well, here's the thing: dream is speech, dream is talk. We're taught that ideas, if we have an idea, you better think what you're going to say before you say it. I take a contrary point of view. What we say is the mother of our thought. That's quite a contrary, different thought. What I mean by that is, um, if you can't say it, then you can't feel it. And the thoughts we have come from the speech we have. Sometime I hear my own thoughts for the first time as I'm speaking with people like you or people on the internet. So speech, language is the mother, not the handmaiden of thought. Joseph Brodsky says that when he was in the Soviet Union, Marx was like the catechism of the day. And Marx asked the question, is it your thoughts that determine your behavior, or is it your behavior that determines your thoughts? And of course, 9 out of 8 people say it's our thoughts that determine our behavior. I take a contrary point of view. It's our behavior that motivates our thoughts. It's our behavior that gives us the vision. It's our ability to speak. We see the world through language. The limit of our language is the limit of our world. And so, without being able to speak, the thoughts might be academic, but not yours. They're the handmaiden of someone else. To have your thought is to speak for the first time. And from that, your thoughts appear. So yes, it's, as I maybe said before, the Dalai Lama, after giving a talk in Albuquerque in the early 90s, he said he would take a few questions. A young lady got up and said, Your Holiness, what's the most important thing I can do? He said, routine, next question. He was saying what I'm saying, that what you do determines what you think, not not vice versa.
What about the vivid unknown? Can you tell me about the vivid unknown?
Well, that's the vivid unknown is what's present now. It's so present we don't even know it anymore. That's why kids are committing suicide. That's why there's so much fentanyl. That's why there's so many drugs involved. In order to heal the pain, it only causes more. So the vivid unknown is putting two things together. It's the unknown, but it's vivid. It has a presence that only you can feel. Um, we live in a period of the vivid unknown. It reveals itself to us daily, and it's like a dawn without a day. All of these things are very, very confusing to anyone who's paying attention to life. And all of us try to pay attention, but it becomes overwhelming. It's hard to pay attention to something you don't understand, though it gets your attention by being vivid. As I said, fentanyl and drugs and all these things get our attention. They're unknown, but they're vivid, so we experience them.
The director Alejandro Jodorowsky said, one does not go to the theater to escape from himself, but to reestablish contact with the mystery that we all are.
Indeed. And he also said that when people come into the theater, they come in as one person, but they must leave in a completely different manner. The purpose of his cinema is to kill the ideas you have so that you may end up with something new. I like his films, but his best film is a documentary made about him, and where he explains all of this in such classic clarity that I'd recommend it to anyone. Jodorowsky.
Expand on that the audience or the audience member walks into the theater and they leave a completely different person. What they've gone in who they are and they come out somebody else.
Well, that's what all filmmakers try to do. They try to influence the people that are seeing the film. In his case, he wants to kill the ideas we live with. And his films, if you know them, do exactly that. They're off the wall. They're odd ones in. They're not hugely popular, but they're classics in their own way. So to be able to have that happen as one walks out of the theater. You walk out with new ideas, new thoughts, new feelings, and you see that what's outside is the death that he's talking about. It's very perceptive. It is subtle, but it's very real. How many people have had their life changed by a film? Everyone's different, so different films will affect different people. In his case, he was trying to kill the audience or their idea of the world, which he felt was phony. So that's vivid for me.
Another thing he said was, the only thing a master can teach is how to learn about yourself. There are no secrets. There are only techniques to waken yourself.
We are all capable of being awake, but most of us live in a sleep zone. Our sleeps are not of our dreams of not of our night. Our dreams of our day or of our day. They're not real. They're dreams. And he's trying to tell us that we have to pay attention. We're dreaming against ourselves. Uh, Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to look good. Everybody wants everybody to like them. But most of us are hidden in plain sight, hardly noticed. Those that are noticed for a minute or two. The rest, we go back to our lonely selves. And that makes for a very difficult world to live in. And as I said, we're moving so fast that it's hard to even comprehend what's happening. To comprehend what's happening now means we're comprehending the future. The future is the present. The present is what's blowing in the wind. Bob Dylan said, it's all blowing in the wind. Uh, he saw it. That's why he became a Nobel laureate of stuff he did when he was 19 to 21. Not the electric guitar, but he had an insight into these things. So a person like that, to have a musician become the winning of the Nobel Prize for literature is a unique and was quite controversial. But he compiled all of this. Nothing's original. He just renamed it. His inspiration, like Woody Guthrie and everyone else, was the Texas Troubadour. His name was Ernest Tubb. His lyrics are so clear. He's the only poet, well, he influenced everybody. He's the only poet with a lifetime achievement star in Hollywood. He's that kind of clarity, and all of them work off of him in some way. He wrote all his own lyrics. Like
Is there,
country western is so real because it deals with the way that life is. Loretta Young. And to me, I put Bob Dylan in that category, and certainly the Texas Troubadours, Ernest Tubb. These are people who deal with how we feel right now. It's beyond classical, it's beyond rock and roll, it's beyond, what do they call it? Whatever the new music is, this music has it all. So I'm a huge country western fan. They speak the truth in lyrics that you must understand.
is there anything else you can tell me about Woody Guthrie?
Well, Woody Guthrie, he wasn't the guy I'm talking about. He was motivated by Ernest Tubb as well. Everybody, that's why he's such an amazing guy. I would have given him the Nobel laureate for literature as well. But Dylan made it popular. He took an idea that was already there and spun it out so that you could hear it. So this is a remarkable event.
Godfrey, what are some misconceptions about how we as Americans view the size of the rest of the world, and then we as humans underestimate the size of the earth?
Well, the first part will be both of them. How would I say it? We're committed to the place we live in. We think that place is the best. We'll celebrate on July the 4th the greatest nation of the universe, the biggest armies. We'll have fireworks to display it. The Russians think the same, the Chinese think the same, certainly the North Koreans think the same. We all do. The French think the same. We all think we are the special ones. We're all special ones. The size of the world we don't even see. We're committed to the place that we know. We feel the place we know. We only feel the world through those few that travel, maybe feel it in another way, but we only feel the world through media. And that's a very abstract form. You can easily get distracted from it by the next CNN ad. We don't know the world we live in, and the world is coming apart. Not that it hasn't been forever, but our technology is leaping so far ahead that it's impossible to know who we are. What is our world? Our world is our range of relationships. It was Galileo that realized after the creation of the clock, a Belgian clockmaker in the Holy Roman Emperor before the Habsburgs. He was preceded the Habsburgs, but he left them because he wanted his own freedom. And he brought in a guy to say, well, let's look at the universe. What is it? And this guy said, the universe is multiple universes, and we only know one, perhaps. So his point of view was that he made this clock and he realized that there's no such thing as a pure circle, that everything is elliptic. To make the clock, he had to put into the clock the unknown in order to make it known. We live with a star. We call it the sun, but it's a star. There are billions of stars out there, which means there are billions of worlds, and we only get to know them as we can have the instruments to do so. Or if we're psychic, maybe that can tell us as well. But we're all connected. UFOs, are they real or are they government? Hard to tell. One replicates the other. In Roswell, we just had the celebration of the first UFO. New Mexico's full of UFOs. Is it the military? Or there are UFOs? You listen to people who have been abducted, who are under hypnosis, and what they say is remarkable. These people want to find out who we are because they think we live in the paradise of the world, and we don't even know it. We're ruining it without knowing how special the earth is to the rest, certainly to the cosmos, certainly to the universe, part of the universe we live in. But the universe is unnameable, it's not numerical. There are billions of stars, perhaps trillions. We could be living right now with another group that's present, but we never see or hear. The dark side or the light side. It's a world that we're only discovering, and technology, again, will move us close to it, but we don't have the instruments to measure it. If we can't measure it, if we can't touch it, feel it, it's not real. Well, we know that's because there's so much that we can't touch, but it's more than real. So we live in a world that's way beyond our world, and our world seems to be, for whatever reason, maybe one of the paradises of this world. We're two-legged animals. We walk around on our feet, not 4 feet, 2 feet. Makes us very special. It makes us, I was in the La Fonda yesterday with all the people coming in for 4th of July. How weird we look as humans. Now, I know that sounds weird, okay? But I believe it. We are animals. And like every other animal, we have all these animal instincts. But our instincts, the first ones were those that eat have great respect for those that are eaten. That's the basis of who we are. I'm not talking about Purdue organic fried chicken or Whole Foods that brings things from all over the planet here and calls it whole. I'm talking about the fundamental agreement between those that are eaten and those that eat. That's who we are. We respect that. Those are hard things to wrap your head around. It's certainly much harder to see ourselves as animals, but that's who we are. We are animals. We're animistic. Plato says the world is indeed possessed of soul and intelligence. We're part of that soul. We're part of that intelligence. The word anima means soul. We all have a soul, an anima, an animus. We don't realize, look at ourselves till we start to look strange and we see how weird our animal is. We dress right. We drive in cars. We have big cities. And we're animals doing all of that. That's of interest to the rest of the universe, for sure.
So, how intelligent are animals? What misconceptions do we have about what they know and what they don't know?
We treat them as little kitty cats and canines and snakes, and they know more than we know because they don't know time. They live time. They are time. Like they can know when earthquakes or hurricanes. They know this and they disappear. We forgot about all of that. We depend on professionals to tell us that and then forget it as soon as we hear it because we're more interested in the good life. The animals are interested in the life, not the good life. Again, Plato. The world is indeed possessed of soul and intelligence. What is soul? Soul is who we are. We're the only people, humans and a few other animals like elephants, but they can't get into the earth like we. We bury our dead. We put because they have soul. We live in a world as animals. Our world is our world of relationships. We're all animistic by nature. So to be an animist is to be who we are. I learned as a young monk if you want to see your familiar for the first time, stare at it until it starts to be strange. Then you've seen it yourself for the first time. And I'm talking about just look in the mirror, look at it and look at it and look at it, and then see how strange you might seem. We see ourselves for the first time when we see the strangeness of who we are. Animals don't have to look in the mirror for that. The mirror don't mean nothing to the animal. The animal is the mirror. And we have to learn from our fellow creatures, our fellow animals, that lesson. They have a lot to teach us, and they suffer like we suffer.
Now, and is some of that the inspiration for Anima Mundi?
Yes, it is. That film was based on the idea of Plato. We're in the world, and it's possessed of soul and intelligence. It's so the whole thing is showing, I think we showed, I don't know, 120 something animals. We looked at them till they looked strange, and then we started to see them for the first time. So I spent a lot of time filming animals. Animals are in all my films. It's in the last film I did, Once Within a Time. They are the sentient ones. They are the ones that can see us. If you can look into their eyes, they see us better than we see ourselves. Like our companions, our eyes face outward. We don't see ourselves. Our companions see us better than we see ourselves. That's why we get in such arguments with our girlfriend or boyfriend, because they're telling us, look at this, you're not even noticing it. But our eyes are geared to the outside. When you hear someone speak, you'll be amazed at what the ear can see and the eye can hear. And that's what our companions, our fellow animals tell us, our wives, our boyfriends, the gorilla, the tiger, the bird. They see us better than we see ourselves.